Freedom of information is a vital right in a functioning democracy. It should allow a government and its people to have a mutual trust built on openness, accountability and transparency. Today, we're going to talk about why your freedom of information rights matter, how a secretive government department was threatening those rights, and how open democracy exposed that department and ultimately led to it being disbanded. The Freedom of Information Act gives the public the right to access information held by government bodies. From your local council all the way up to Westminster, it doesn't matter who you are, what part of the country you live in, or what your political leanings may be, anyone can submit a request. There are some exceptions, of course. There's no asking for your neighbour's tax records, and anything that could be considered useful in planning a terrorist activity isn't going to be handed over. But your request shouldn't be denied if the public interest in releasing the information outweighs the interest in withholding it. Without freedom of information, we'd never know that some MPs were abusing their expenses and essentially charging taxpayers for things like moat cleaning, islands for their ducks, and second homes. We'd not have known that an MP gave £100,000 of taxpayers' money to an anti-political correctness campaigners research company. Nor would we have been able to find out which politicians were secretly sitting alongside dark money-fueled lobbyists as members of the European Research Group. With such important revelations depending on the ability to freely request information, it should be clear that freedom of information is extremely important in a true democracy. However, until recently, there were problems with how it was working in the UK. To date, we've produced 2 reports on freedom of information, and these reports have shown that over the last 10 years, the number of requests withheld in full has been steadily increasing. We found that in the last 5 years, of the 10 government departments who received the most requests, 6 actually withheld more than they granted. The Cabinet Office was the worst offender, choosing to withhold 60% of all their requests. We often found that despite promising a 20 working day response period for requests, the government were using delaying strategies to extend their deadlines. By claiming that the requests had a notable public interest and therefore would need more time to consider, they could deliver the request at their leisure, but still report them as being delivered on time. That is, assuming they ever responded at all. Stonewalling, which is refusing to communicate in any way, is on the rise, forcing whoever submitted the request to wait for the Information Commissioner's Office, or ICO, to get involved on their behalf. If a response has not been granted in full, for example it's been heavily redacted or denied altogether, it's possible to appeal the government's decision. Again, this is done through the ICO, but it can take months for the ICO to even assign a caseworker to a complaint, let alone begin investigating it. Despite claiming that most cases will be allocated in around 9 months from the date of receipt, the reality is that this already eye-wateringly high estimate is often stretched even further, with some requests for action taking years to complete. Requests that have been sent to multiple central government bodies, also known as round-robin requests, and those considered sensitive, are increasingly processed in a different way to regular requests. These go through a secretive unit in the Cabinet Office that the government has gone to great pains and expense to keep under wraps. It's called the clearinghouse, and despite transparency laws, its job is to screen and sometimes even blacklist incoming requests, paying particular attention to those that come from journalists, researchers, or those that just might pose a reputational risk to the government. Whitehall departments alert the clearinghouse when they receive a round-robin or sensitive request, and then the clearinghouse advises on how to respond, sometimes even signing off on the responses before they're sent. The clearinghouse also produces a daily email sent to up to 70 governmental departments, listing not only the requests that they are advising on, but also the names of requesters. That means journalists from The Guardian, The Times, the BBC, and of course Open Democracy, have found themselves on these lists, and their information being shared openly and freely between government departments. And this is despite the fact that a founding principle of freedom of information requests is that they should be applicant blind.
I'm Jenna, a reporter for Open Democracy, and based on our discoveries, we took the government to court to force the Cabinet Office to come clean about these practices, despite a drawn-out case and a few insults from Michael Gove. We won. The court ruled that the Cabinet Office had shown a profound lack of transparency about the operation of the clearinghouse, and an inquiry into this secretive department was promptly launched. That inquiry confirmed a concerning trend of the government viewing transparency as a hindrance, and also called for a rigorous review of the ICO.
But it wasn't just courts and constitutional committees who wanted to see freedom of information being fixed. When Open Democracy wrote an open letter calling for urgent action to be taken over the handling of requests. Current and former editors of newspapers from across the political spectrum rallied behind our call, including the editor of The Times, John Withrow, and Catherine Viner, editor-in-chief of The Guardian. And in a recent survey commissioned by us, 70% of the public said that they were concerned by the UK government's attitudes towards secrecy, with Conservative voters coming out on top as the most concerned. Now, thanks to the tireless work of our teams, officials have admitted that the way freedom of information requests are handled has to be improved. The government has said it will disband the clearinghouse and will no longer share the names of journalists who make transparency requests. Our work doesn't end there though. Open Democracy will continue reporting on freedom of information requests to make sure that the changes promised actually happen. This win was a long time coming, and it was only possible thanks to the support of our readers who empowered us to keep investigating. If you'd like to donate to Open Democracy, you can find all the links you'll need to do so in the description of this video. You can also now leave us a super thanks, so if you found this video helpful, that'd be a great way of letting us know. Thanks for watching, have a great day.